Today, I'm going to use Claude Code to build a system that takes messages from Telegram and updates a Notion database as a result. To do this, I'm also going to use a platform called Trigger.dev. Trigger.dev is an open source platform that lets you run automated tasks or workflows in the background as they happen or on an automated schedule. For example, if I come into this project on Trigger.dev, I can see I've got a scheduled task that runs automatically every 7 hours. This task specifically does a bit of research on publicly traded companies and then sends me an email with any important information that's come up. But let's jump into Claude Code and see what we're going to build today. So we can see here that the basic flow is neatly laid out. We send a message to the Telegram bot with an idea. Telegram then sends a post request to Trigger.dev. Trigger.dev will validate that it's a legitimate request, and then it will start the task. So it'll use Claude to categorize and expand on the message and connect to the Notion database that we'll set up, and we'll receive a message back saying this has been completed successfully. So before I start coding, I'm actually going to create the bot inside of Telegram. You could also do this inside of WhatsApp, although the bot setup inside of WhatsApp is in a kind of terms of use gray area, whereas Telegram loves this kind of stuff. So it's quite cheesy here, but I'm going to use this thing called BotFather, which helps me create the bot. I'm not going to do this live because it's going to have several API keys, which I don't want exposed. But if you run through this, you'll get your own tokens for your bots that you want to make. Likewise for Notion, I've already created my database table or table that it's going to link to. And I've also set up an internal integration to tie this all together. You can find the integration URL up here. You'll also need to grab a secret key from Trigger. In this case, I'll grab a development key, but you'll also need to grab a production key as well when you move it into. But now I get to run Claude Code and have it actually start linking this all together. Okay, so Claude Code finished running and it's created my Trigger.dev task. So we can look here and we can see that it accepts the message from the Telegram webhook and identifies if it's short or long. If it's long, it's actually going to use Claude to condense the message into a short title. And ultimately from there, it saves the idea into Notion and sends a confirmation message back to me in Telegram. So we've tested the code and pushed it to GitHub, and we can see that it's in our production environment inside of Trigger.dev. We can see this is save idea. We haven't done any runs yet, but let's do our first run. Before we do that, we do need to host the webhook. So I've deployed the file onto a service like railway.com. It's very easy to use, completely guided by Claude Code. So you can deploy the server so that Telegram always knows that its messages will be listened to. Okay, so we're inside Notion and we're inside Telegram. Normally you'd run Telegram on your phone. We can write our idea, which in this case is going to be connecting Gmail to Notion and Slack. So we can send that off and we can see that it's correctly received on Trigger, and then we can see it popping in right there. And given this was a pretty short title, it was just taken in directly, but let's say our message was a bit longer and it was something like, I have an idea about wanting to connect client emails from Gmail and have them automatically updated in their Notion database, and I also want to receive a message in Slack based on that new update. So we've got a much longer message here, and potentially there's more to that idea, but we can see that it has correctly used AI to summarize that down into a similar title. In this case, Gmail to Notion to Slack sync. So yeah, I think this was a super cool one. And I think this, while a bit more complicated, the upside is really worth investing in, like this. The workflows you can build on this are only going to be much bigger. This was just to give a bit of a taste on some videos that are coming down the line.